turn around like this. Well, cause I usually I get I get loot. Our Earth Angel sends us loot.
Okay.
And then I take a picture.
And then you take it.
But she watches the videos. Oh Lord, help me, give me the strength.
Oh my God.
So I'll just show her that
That's
it came. Yay! Thank you. I never thought I'd be so excited about a freaking carpet cleaner. No, I always get excited about carpet cleaners because I like freshness. I like cleaning. I like clean things. I just don't like being the one to have to do it all the time. Mom, wave hi. I already didn't talk, but Mom was sleeping. Now she's awake. I'm just gonna piddle around here while I get the stage, the backdrop set up. The nice young man. My cookies, they're good for tips.
Oh, they're good for
Yeah,
tips.
I always make the recipient of the tip promise that you know it's a for later
He'll come back.
kind of thing. He's like, oh yeah, you know. But I say it, right? I say it. I just had to say it because if you don't tell people, how are they gonna know what your requests are? And so, I think I'll leave the other windows open. I think that the drunkards might be coming too soon. Going out to plant dead flowers and shit. So I saw him. I heard the dog barking, the neighbor's dog. So I looked, and I knew that it was coming. So I went out to greet the young man, and I said, "You just hand it to me over the fence." And there was like a ditch, and he stepped in. It scared him. I've done that before. Like you could jar your back, like that. You could really hurt yourself. And I was like, "Oh, I got it." And then I was like, "You like cook?" You know, went through my yeah, okay. I said, "Hold on a second." And then I came inside, got a couple tips, gratuities, and took them outside. And I said, "Be careful out there, young man." I said, "Don't you find that it's like the Wild West, only with like modern gadgets and conveniences? But it's like we're living in a land of lawlessness because people aren't governing themselves. Because they were given permission for far too long to go out and do whatever they wanted. And a lot of things that they wanted to do cause harm and detriment to other people. But they're not taught about other people. They're only taught about themselves. So now we're seen as a collective downfall. And you know what that young man said? You know, he's had a rough life, but you know, you could tell, you could see the years. And he's mad at his mom. I could tell he's got problems with his mom. Because that's an indicator when people have dental issues at the top part of their mouth. That's issue with the mother. And when they have dental issues with the bottom teeth, that's issues with the father. And so these things, like I look at people and they tell me their life story by just how they carry themselves and stuff like that. And I said, so what's your take on it out there? What's the world like to you? And he throws his arms up like JC, because we're in the time of resurrection. And he goes, honestly, like this man and I were having a connection, right? And he may never be my delivery man ever again. And he said, honestly, it's like, if I have respect for you, have respect for me. And people aren't doing that. It's everybody is so keyed up. It's me. And I said, thank you for verifying that for me today, young man. I said, I'm going to go inside right now and talk about this on YouTube. God bless you. Safe travels. And he went off, you know. And I said a little prayer, you know, said a positive intention, you know. Because I go out and because that's how I said, thank you for coming to work today so I can get what I need to take care of my family.
Oh, that's nice.
And he was like, I mean, people are taken back by me because I am an authentic person, and unauthentic people do not recognize the authenticity, yet they are clamoring and claiming, and they got their banners and they're waving their flags of authenticity. But when you take all that stuff away, what do you got? Like, I was just watching. I love the freaking boom, boom, rapid fire freaking. I want to get the names of the writers. I'll watch the credits one day and then go look them up and see where they're from. Because I bet they're close to the plus or minus 2 of my latitude and longitude of the places I've been. Because The Good Doctor, man, gets me thinking. Like, most every episode, the first 2 episodes were lame because it's the last season. So they're like letting the actors direct and, you know. It's like the last day of school when there's no work to be done, but you gotta like make people show up and eat pizza and stuff like that. And so play. But the episode and then they had 2 episodes and then it wasn't on for 2 weeks. It was like they were on vacation, and then they did another one. So at the end of it, there's 2 male characters, a nurse and a resident that are in love. And the nurse is a big dude, resident's a little dude. And I love this freaking show, man. And this is one storyline that gave me, this thing. And there was a point of contention in their relationship because the big guy wanted the little guy to come over to his family house. The little guy is Jewish and is not close with his family, although even on this show that his dad. Well, I don't know. Did they ever play that out? I can't remember now that I think about it. Anyway, they were estranged. His family was, and then his boyfriend, their family is real close. And so his daughter his niece was having a party for her confirmation and getting a bunch of presents and the little guy didn't want to go because he's got a bunch of brothers, a bunch of big guys. They all love the sports. They all love the hockey, and he ain't into sports and all that stuff. He's an egghead, and so he's worried about fitting in and all that stuff. And then so he goes, but it's like okay, but he always ditches out. He don't participate because he doesn't know how because he's scared. So some people, it's like I'm like, well, I had to get all over this stuff get past all this stuff that I was afraid to participate. Why can't this guy, And so the boyfriend goes to leave. Big guy goes to leave and say, okay, I'm off, and he's like, hold on, I'm going with you. And then they go and they're all sitting around the living room. Big old TV's on with the hockey game on. Hockey player just died, 52 years old. It's weird how this stuff happens. People are dying way too young because they are not valuing life, and they're to teach us to value the life for us that are still here, and people are still playing the reindeer games, and then more people are gonna die. it's so weird. So then they go it's like he's got this big old huge Mom, the family I always imagined that we were a part of, right? This big old huge family. This colossal family, and they're all watching sports, and she gets a jersey with with one of the hockey logos on it, and it's just thank you, Uncle, you're my, you're the best, and you're a cute boyfriend, and yay. And there's like freaking 50 people in this room, all related, just basking in the love. And then I thought for a second, I said, what if sports didn't exist? Like, what if you took that game off? You took away their jerseys. You took away that highest common denominator. How would these people relate to each other? And then I look at the whole industry. Wow. Then there is another storyline with the fraternity brother that comes in because it was fun that's the thing, man. I went to a fraternity party before. I didn't go. See, my brother was a frat brat, and he took me to his fraternity party one time. I'm not into that stuff because, see, all the guys that end up for fraternities are the same dudes that were fucking dicks to me in high school. Right? Like to drink a lot, carry on, catcall, talk nasty about women. I'm a woman. I don't think it's respectful. But because I liked women, they all thought I should go along and do the same shit that they did. And I'm like, dude, I'm fucking one of them. You're stupid. And then I was always a part of these man groups, these man jobs, and I heard the way that they really thought and they really talked. And I'm like, dude, you go home and then you act like you're a good man with thoughts like that, the world ain't safe. And the storyline is you know a drinking game is drink and then they hit each other upside the head. Now I've seen a lot of hazing. I got pictures of dudes like, oh, it's his last day at the shop. Tie him to a freaking cart, bring him to the wash rack, douse him with the pressure, dump a bunch of gook on him. I mean, I've seen so much hazing, but it's illegal and you're not supposed to do. No, all that stuff is do whatever you want, but don't get caught. And if you get caught, well, there's probably not going to get really a whole lot of consequences anyway. And the jails and prisons are all privatized and full of a lot of people that shouldn't be there, while so many that should are just out living their best life. It's oh so confusing for a nacho neurotypical like me. And so this guy, you know, at the end, and what the culprit was, there's all these other storylines going on too, but there was a little metal thing that ended up in his spleen, because you're not supposed to clean barbecue grills with those little with wire brushes, because those wires can end up in the meat, and then people eat the meat, right? And that's what this guy's case was. And then he got one stuck in his tonsil, which caused an infection, which made the guy think that his eardrum was blown. So it's so interesting how all these things connect. When the good doctor does his good doctoring thing, when he like stares off to space and he sees all the parts that come together, he's just doing it in like a medical standpoint. When I do that, because of my placements, I'm thinking about every experience I've ever had that is related to that, past, present, and potentially future. Because I think in potentials, and this could happen, and that could happen. If this happens, that happens. And when this wheel turns, that wheel turns. And when freaking people touch this, that, you know, they get burned. And when they get, you know, do this, and they, like, there's, because of all this life experience that I've had. But people want to fiddle on like this dude in the storyline did. He's like, you know, I like, these guys helped me through a lot of really hard times, and that's what they do. You know, we're going to help you through a hard time, but then we want to do stupid stuff like smack you in the face. It's all to show allegiance so that they can carry their groups along from fraternity to college, you know, through college, and then they go, you know, they get because of who they are and their relatives. They, you know, their parents deem themselves important, so they want to deem themselves important. So doctor, you know, get in the control systems so you can continue to smack people in the face while in secret, while telling the public, going, I care. And then they go, and then they get placed in working in the cities, in the local governments. Because they, you know, my brother lives in a place, he ain't been in a fraternity for freaking 38 years. So I'm like, well, he's 53. Since he was, you know, graduated college, poli-sci, all these bros, all these dudes, all these douches that freaking are part of all these, you know, groups that have all been dicks to me. They carry each other along, but they, like, throw away their moms and their sisters and the people that fucking got them through this shit. Like, put up with their fucking abuse. And then they get to a point that they throw us away so we don't remind the public of how abusive they are. They never stop. They just stop doing it in public. So they abuse, you know, by saying that thing, that hurtful thing, but they do it with a smile on their face. So they're trying to come across, you know, sincere and not disingenuous. But a vibe's a vibe and you're a fake. Yeah. And he's like, well, these guys, they carried me through some of the hardest times of my life. They made me feel, you know, what it's like to feel, you know. And then, so you owe them forever. That's how they get you. But then they end up but he doesn't like doing all that other stuff. Okay. This is a storyline that has rippled across this land. There's so many storylines that ripple, and then you could tell like how a person is based on the storylines that they're attracted to. I've been tracking real close this storyline, Amanda Banks and stuff. See, because I when I was 2000, I think she was big in the early 2000s. I'm not see because I was off in the Air Force, so I wasn't watching Nickelodeon. I know there's a lot of people in the barracks that were. I wasn't one of them. I was also in college at the same time working on not one but 2 degrees because I had to get both of them done and I only had 4 years to do it, so I was in a hurry. I did it 10 days apart. It about killed me. I did it. And so all this stuff is coming out about the perps. See, because I'm one of those people. I know what the what evil feels like. And a lot of people don't. And so when you talk about what evil feels like and you articulate it in such a way, it affects people in such a way that they're like, ooh, I just can't even. And I know a lot of people are wondering how things like this can be such a gross thing. I'm seeing TikToks and stuff like cat ticks, all that stuff about like, Epstein was the, gross guy of here. Jay-Z's the gross guy of, well, no, I'm sorry, R. Kelly. They're all the same to me. He's the gross guy over here. You got all these gross guys. What happens when you got gross guys everywhere? And the population of people that have allowed it. While this whole time I'm going, no, dude, that's gross, and then I get shunned, I get put away, I get called the problem. I'm too emotional, I'm too sensitive. Yeah, I know what an evil motherfucker feels like. And you got a lot of money in your bank from freaking perpetuating those systems that, evil begets evil. They're gonna start. You can't keep it. You can't keep the darkness from coming to light. And they're trying so hard, and they're so scared. And there's gonna be so many people that are terribly, terribly embarrassed. And I'm listening because this is what's in my feed. So I keep listening. I'm collecting data, and I'm hearing all these stories, and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, that tracks, and that tracks. And I remember that vaguely. And I remember, okay, that tracks. Following, okay, all right. And then I think about all the parents. See, because the parents are just people. And these parents were kids at one time. And they've gone through whatever experience. And what they come to do is that they become a person that is a people pleaser. From their frame of reference, they designated their course of action by using their free will to be the person that wanted to please people and have money so bad that they literally sacrifice the essence and goodness of their child by giving him to the hands of evil. And it goes all the way back. Helen Keller, or not Helen Keller, Shirley Temple Black did an interview. Like, she was an adult, but it was still black and white. That's how old it was, right? And she talked about she worked at Fox Studio, but then they went to MGM Grand and only did one meeting because they separated her and her mother to go talk to different producers. And she was a 12-year-old girl, and the guy got naked in front of her, and she laughed at him. Sorry about it. They hate when you laugh at their lack of masculinity. The ones that have so much feminine energy, they overcompensate. All the women want me because I am so important, and then they're all portly and hairy and oddly shaped, and it's like, not everybody wants you, dude. Like you want yourself. That's what narcissism is. So, and then they got in the car. They got out of the meeting. They're walking quiet to the car, and they're like, "Well, that didn't go real good." They share their experience, and they both got hit on. 12-year-old girl and the mom. And they divide. It's what predators do, man. All these people have, and it's women too, because they work together. It's a predatory, and it derives from people that only want what they want. They don't care about other. That's how it starts. That's it. That's how the cancer. I'm just gonna go out and live my best life without any kind of discipline, because perverts don't got no discipline, and they're easy to see. For 49 years, I've been collecting data on the human psyche. So like all these, busts, 170 people arrested for child trafficking, all this stuff. I am looking at every single picture. So whenever I see this out in the world, I'm like, like attracts like and all that. Go girl, pretty, pretty. So yeah, there's all kinds of, there's hazing everywhere. I wonder what you hear that, but there's all the hazing that you don't hear about. Like, you want to be in the brotherhood? You want to know what happens to so many trans women in the Midwest? That's for an offline conversation. That's for if people want to come to listen to the real stories that I can't talk about I talk about a lot more stuff than other people on this channel, because of course I have a lot more life experience than they do. They just read, they just hear about stuff. But I've been there, I've seen it, and I know the people. Barbara Henry, I hope you had a good birthday a couple days ago. She's a girl I'll never forget in high school. Her hearing the story, her counselor told her she needs to write about it, talk about it, acknowledge it exists, that her little brother existed before her parents hacked him up and put him out in the garbage. And that's how she moved from New Jersey out to California to be, because she got adopted. And I was like, ooh, I wonder if stuff like that happened to mom when she got adopted. Like, what are the circumstances of what mom's adoption? No, mom was just adopted up in northern from northern New Mexico, because she was born to a family that looked at her as being broke and not perfect and deformed. So they turned her over to the state. This is back in the 1950s. This shit has been happening the whole entire time. See, but people are so busy watching them sports games, having a good time, drinking and carrying on, that people like me don't matter. And there's more of us than you guys, because the karma comes, and so now the balance is going to shift. People are going to start losing more stuff. It's like we got to become more empathetic in a collective way, or this world is in trouble. Well, the world's always okay, but the people on the planet, they're just good. It's just populations are going to go down. You want to go outside, girl? Pretty? And then the last thing I'm going to talk about Good Doctor is watching him evolve into all of those things. And it reminds me, I got to be careful not to do this, not to become the thing that I am adamantly against. And I see it, and I think, thank you for the message received, universe. Because now he's married with child, autistic, goes through the, he even was put in pathology because some guy didn't like, because somebody above him just didn't like him, because he wasn't like him. He was, so he was in charge, so he just put him back in a corner so he couldn't have to deal with him, right? Like so many of us do. But we have so much to contribute to society, but we aren't allowed, because people misconstrued our directness and being forthright is, you're mean. And so nothing will ever get accomplished, because people that control others use words like, you're mean, to put me in my place. And it's like, all that stuff. And it's to see him, I think he's going to come back around. I think he's going to do a 180, come back and do his original heart space. He's going to go through, he thinks he made it to the top, and now there's this young nacho neurotypical that's so much like him, but he don't see it in him, but he just sees all the stuff that he hated about himself. And so now he's putting her the ringer as he was put through the ringer. This is what I get. But see, what I perceive, and other people are like, he's a weird doctor. It's a good show. This is what TV, mom's watching shows or whatever, because she don't like getting, hopefully we'll get to go to a place where we can be outside more, but for now we entertain ourselves, keep ourselves entertained indoors a lot, because anyway, don't matter. And so, and I'm going through, I always have been, I'm going through You know, and I'm always one of those person, like, because Mom would watch Murder, She Wrote, Columbo, Rockford Files, all the, Hawaii Five-O, all, Criminal Minds, all the investigative stuff. And I'm Scorpio Moon, so I'd sit there and watch with her. Other stuff, like war movies that she and my brother bonded with, because that's his program, I'd go outside and play. Never watched all the Godfathers. That's not my vibration. I remember, like, one of the last times I got together with my dad and brother, I think it's when my grandma died in 2004. I've seen them since, but they're few and far between. But they got that bond, you know. And it's like we don't. And what did they choose to do? Let's get all three of the Godfathers and watch all three of them. So they sat together, probably drank some whiskey, you know. And I just like went out on the porch because I'm not fucking into the shit that they're into. I'm into good orderly direction. I'm into not killing people. I'm not, I'm into, community and growth and none of that stuff perpetuates any of that. So I was always odd man out, even in my own family. So that's why I'm real good at community, about creating community spaces. I just don't know how to do that in Taos. And I'm honestly going to go up and ask them, like, listen, I got all these ideas, but I'm not nacho neurotypical, and you people make it hard. So if I don't even have a chance because you don't like me, don't even put me through the process of fucking filling out paperwork, okay? Because I know a lot of other people around here have had really cush, easy lives, and they never had to put a name on an application because of who they're related to. Just treat me like everybody else, okay? Just give me the same advantages as everybody else. Don't make it hard for me. Because people like to make it hard for me because I'm a very strong person. And they get satisfaction and like, okay, so you don't get food stamps. What are you going to do now? Then I circumvent. I go around their systems. I become so charming and personable and relatable that people appreciate me for who I am and the life experience that I have. And every now and again, they'll send me something in PayPal. And or I get a check in the mail. And the universe will become a place that will be supportive of me. So I can just implement my ideas on how to make people feel better that are down here. Because look at all the people at the top that keep going to the same resorts every year. They keep going to this, they do all these things to make them feel so good. While the cracks of society get wider. It's not fair. It's just not fair. And I know a lot of people have earned a lot of things from doing very little. I know there's a lot of rich ranchers, Montana, Texas. You guys got hundreds, thousands of acres. But the people that lived on that land before it became yours, they had families, they had lives, they had joy, they had sorrows. And to be treated the way that they were treated, and I think it's so funny that this land brought me back to this place, because Mom was born around here, and people they spend all their grants, spend so much money on showing people, doing this study, this survey on the effects of what happens when people are thrown away in poverty and all this stuff. But don't give them too much money because they'll use it on drugs and alcohol. And what they're telling you is if they had so much, they would waste it on alcohol in abundance. And that's what they do because that's how they live their lives. People that have never gone through struggle should not be in positions to help jack shit. Things are shifting. A lot of people are just freaking dying away because of all of that choosing. How many people how often do you hear they died they died doing what they loved? Well, how unfortunate that they didn't love being with their family more, or just being in that they had to do something dangerous Something that they knew that they could potentially die from on purpose. How arrogant. Yet another reminder. Anyway, I'm about at 30 mark. I'm probably going to be chatty Cat. That's another thing. Happy New Year! New Year's here. The real New Year. Not the imposed. And we're coming up on Easter, where all the people celebrate envy. Because the Romans were so jealous of JC, because he could just, he was hip to be square and lived out the box. He hung out with the lower, and the upper knew what they were. There's no difference. It's just privilege and allowance and stealing and taking. Someone on Cat Talk earlier said that they read a lot of history books, and I always laugh when people talk about, I say history books are written by the people with the biggest guns and the smallest wieners. So that's what every war is people, groups of people overcompensating from the lack of power that they have within themselves. Booyah! Thanks a lot. That's about all I got for now.